We are testing the balance gods here because this pile is just really intense. Okay, so welcome back to the chaotic little book corner. My name is Acacia. All right, so today we are doing YA gift guide. Yeah, I got quite a bit here. I didn't go overboard just because I didn't want to like go super crazy with it, and also I tried to grab ones that aren't as regularly talked about, and then one of them was like really regularly talked about but like a while ago, and it hasn't been talked about for a while, so I figured I'd bring it up. Let's do our advent calendar, shall we? What's the day? It's the 7th. No, it's the 8th. Okay, so we start doing our candles soon, but not yet. What is this? Oh, okay. Follow me to ground. Interesting. This will be interesting. We shall see how that goes. I will talk about that in my wrap-up, which should be coming up in the next few days. Okay, so let's carefully take the book off the pile. Number 1, we have Where the Mountain Meets the Moon. This is just really special. This is the middle grade, and this one is based on Asian mythology, and it goes through a world where a young girl is in a small town and something is wrong and they never get the help they need in the town from like resources to allow for them to have like a fruitful time of year for their crops. So something is just wrong. And what has happened is she was told a story about a dragon who lost their children, and as a result, the rivers turned into the dragons turned into rivers, and the rivers are sad and not giving the attention that they need, and it's a whole thing. And so she has a plan to go and talk to, I believe it's the man in the moon. Yeah. And find out what to do about this. It's really beautiful, really special. I absolutely adore it. I think it's so sweet, and I think it's adorable. I really recommend it. All right, this one, do not fall, do not fall. This is allegedly, like, this was everywhere for a while, but it kind of dropped off the radar. This is the story. So honestly, I would recommend anything by Tiffany D. Jackson. Tiffany D. Jackson is amazing, and I love her work. And I would just, anything Tiffany D. Jackson is great. Especially if you are looking for something for a more mature YA reader who is looking for Black authors and more conversations about racism and trauma. It's just really, really good stuff for that. But I would say it's definitely for the more mature who have kind of like seen a little bit more. It's a little hard to digest, and it's emotional. Like, it's really emotional. So this one is about a young girl who has been accused of murdering a baby, and now she's living in a foster home as a criminal, and she is, let's see, does it tell you what I'm trying to tell you, or does it not? Okay. In the synopsis, it does tell you she is pregnant. So she's pregnant, and she survived baby jail, and now she's in a group home, and there's something happening, but she needs to clear her name in order to have her baby to keep. It's really emotional, really good. Definitely recommend. And also, if you're looking for Black authors that you just want to like dip your toes into, this is a really good place to start because it addresses the core feelings of racism without being so intense that you can't handle it. It's a gentle step into racism rather than a full wake up call. Like there's levels, and this is like the beginner level. So if you're interested in learning more about the Black experience, that is a great place to go. This one kind of fell off the radar. Not many people talk about it anymore. This is Uprooted. This one is a fantasy. It took off like crazy. What year was it? 2015. Like crazy. This was everywhere. I read it. I gave it 3 stars. I feel like I would like it more now because I'm more of a fantasy person now than I was then. This one was gifted to me, and I ended up selling that copy and then repurchasing it just because I felt like I still wanted it on my shelf. I don't know why. It just stuck with me. This is the story of a girl who is in a small town, and there is a person called the Dragon who every 10 years takes a girl from the village and they're never seen again, or they never come back to the village. So there's all these mysteries around it and like these feelings of unwarranted fear, and it's just a whole thing. And usually the dragon takes the most perfect and the most, you know, beautiful and all of that, but for some reason he picks our main character and we follow her and her experience. Then we have this one. This one's been around forever. This is Only Ever Yours. This is Louise O'Neill. This is dystopian gold. Like if you have already read all the dystopian YA, but you haven't read this is the next place to go. So for a lot of people, this one's really hard because it does address eating disorders very clearly. So this is a beauty school where women are sent and they are being trained. It's like The Handmaid's Tale. Women are being trained to be one of 3 things, either a teacher, a concubine, or a wife. And in this world, it kind of addresses social media. Social media was not as big when this book came out. Like it was getting there, but it hadn't like fully become what it is now. Sorry, my camera just fell. So these girls are being rated online, and that was, do you remember the Hot or Not app? That was what this was based off of. So it was around that time. Really interesting, really like freaking good. Like it's just really good. This one, if you're looking for mental health, this is Made You Up. This is a story about a young girl with schizophrenia, and you are seeing from her perspective. She gets into a communication with a man who she's told doesn't exist, but then she sees him later and she thinks he's real. And it's about whether or not her perspective of reality is true or not. And you're constantly trying to battle between what's reality and what's not. It's really interesting, really well done. I loved it. I thought it was beautiful. Don't fall. This one is Love is a Revolution. This one is just really interesting if you're looking for plus size rep. It's sweet. It's an interesting romance. It's just really, it's done really differently. Again, it's a good place to go if you're looking for the Black experience. Yeah, it's one of those ones where the girl, basically she tells a couple of lies to try and get the attention of someone, and it doesn't really work. And then she has to kind of like overcome what happened. But it's a really sweet book. It's just really nice and gentle and easy to read. This one's a bit harder. This is Black Girl Unlimited. This one is trauma. Like, there's trauma in this. But I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was really well done. I thought it was really well executed. It was different. It was a different kind of feel for a YA. It had vibrancy that I hadn't seen done. It had elements of beauty that I hadn't seen done. It was really interestingly written. It was just different. And again, this talks about the Black experience and what that feels like, and it's really interesting. But trigger warnings on this one, like, I would definitely say just be aware. It's hard and it's really difficult, but it's a beautiful coming of age story. And for somebody who has gone through a lot of trauma in their life and is looking for a place to kind of feel at home and like they're not alone, this could be really good. A Song Below Water. There's a sequel to this if you're interested in getting a duology. This is the story of two young Black girls, one who is a siren, which is considered very bad in their society, and it kind of addresses racism and what that looks like and how people are judging people based on their experience and their identity and all of that. And there's hate crimes, and it's really interesting, but it's from the perspective of a siren. And there's like mermaids, and it's fantasy meets racism. It's really interestingly done. It was really beautiful. I thought it was great, and I definitely recommend it. Perks of Being a Wallflower. This is a classic. This is like my childhood. This is just what you go for when you have had trauma. I will give trigger warnings. One of the trigger warning that I would give is a spoiler. But I'll put it to you this way. The trigger warning in this book is something I have addressed multiple times and something I myself have gone through multiple times, and it does deal with repressed memory. So be forewarned about that. It's really interesting. It talks about subjects of suicide and friendship and love and affection and family ties and all of that wrapped into this one story. It's really wonderful, but definitely be careful with this one. The twist is quite shocking and a trigger warning. Yeah. Paperweight. This is again trigger warning specifically for eating disorders, anorexia nervosa. This is the story of a young girl who is in an eating disorder clinic, and she has promised herself that she does not have to survive because of something that happened to someone she loved. And it's her compromising on everything and struggling with an eating disorder and dealing with all of that backlash and all of that existence. And it's just really well done and so beautiful and so well executed. I really loved it. It helped me a lot. It gave me a lot of insight into my own disorder, and it helped me identify my own eating disorder and like my thoughts and what was my eating disorder and what was a normal thought. And it was really interesting. If you have someone in your life who you think might be on the eating disorder spectrum, this might be a wake-up call. It also might trigger them, so just be aware of that. But if you have someone who's in eating disorder recovery, this might help. It also might harm. Just ask them before you give it to them whether viewing people's experiences helps or hinders. That's all you have to ask. That's all you have to do. They usually will know the answer to that. So just let them lead you on that one. But this is really good. Truly Devious, this is a set of 3. There's 3 books in this series. Actually, there's 4. There's 4 books in this series. The 4th one is in hardcover, so I would only get the first 3 because they match, and then the 4th one you can get them later. I think the 4th one is like a short story collection anyway. So it's just, yeah. But this is a true crime thriller kind of feel. It's the story of a young girl who goes to a school where there was a murder, and she starts to be a sleuth detective and try and figure it out, and you're following it. It's really good, really fun, really easy. I loved it. Another middle grade, this is the Book Wanderers. I will tell you, this is extremely white. However, the reason I tell you that is that the books that Anna had access to use in this book, because she had to use books that are out of copyright, are specifically, like, in order to write this book and use characters from classic books, she had to use books that are out of copyright and, like, available to the public. So she had to use books that are sadly more white, just because that's what's available. But it's just a beautiful story. If you like The Little Princess, if you like Alice in Wonderland, if you like Pride and Prejudice, if you like, yeah, I think those are the 3. Oh, Anne of Green Gables, that's the other one. And then there's a whole series. I have all 4. Really good. I definitely recommend. We Are Not Free. This is a really interesting one. This is the story of a group of, I believe they're all Japanese. Yeah. 14 Japanese American teens find their lives incredibly changed. Restricted curfews, evictions, incarceration, everything changes for them. They end up in internment camps, and this is that story. Hard. Like, this is hard, but so important and so amazing and so special, and, like, I would highly recommend this. And, like, this is just really different. It hits really different. It's a really interesting historical fiction. If you haven't read historical fiction in this kind of setting, it's really worth reading. It's special. It's really special. And it was its own voices. It's just, well, it's its own voices in that it's a Asian author. It's not own voices in that they were in an internment camp, but, like, it's not whitewashed. It's just really good. And then our last option is the biggest. This is Bloodlike Magic. I love this. I think it's amazing. Really special. This is a witch book, which is just done beautifully. It addresses witches in their more dark magic form. It's a little bit more about teenage life and what that's like, and coming of age, and trying to find your identity and trying to find your sense of self. It's really well done. Trigger warnings though, like, it's got a couple of those things in there, but it's really well done. This is beautiful and really special. So if you're interested in witches, this is a good place to go. Okay, so that is the YA section. I'm going to do a romance one. Let me know if you want to see a nonfiction one. I asked if you wanted to see a YA one, and I got an outstanding yes. So let me know if you want to see nonfiction. I'll keep doing these until you guys are tired of them, honestly. I have no problem doing that. If there's any other genres you want to see, somebody asked for mystery. I genuinely don't have that much mystery. It's not a genre I go for, really. So, like, it just doesn't come up. But, like, almost every other genre I could do a step on, but I've done most of them. So I'm going to do romance next, and then nonfiction if everyone wants to see it. But if no one wants to see it, that's totally fine. I can do a totally different video. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you loved it, click that subscribe button down below. Comment questions and quandaries down in the comment section. My affiliate links and Patreon are linked in the description, as well as my wish list and my registry, which I don't know why, but some people want. So no pressure, just letting you know they're there. If you have any questions or quandaries, let me know. I will talk to you all in the next video, and I love my subscribers and I love my Patreons. Bye.